will be the main topic tonight, straps for most straps. This Pat Rawson. Pat is a internationally acclaimed, legendary surfboard shaper who has been shaping surfboards for
1966, so
42 years. And surfers, prior to kiteboarding, surfers around the world have always gone to Pat for for a lot of shortboards, semi-guns and full-on guns, and look to Pat to build boards that are very confident and very demanding surf, so that you're not trying to worry about your board in a wave that's about to kill you. And so Rawson and Rawson Surfboards are really known around the world for being very, very confident. And Pat started working with Liquid Force and with Jason and the Liquid Force team, and several years ago in developing the Liquid Force Kitesurfboards. And as part of Real Nighschool, Stan's done an excellent job recruiting the international personalities in here to be able to speak with our students. But we've been lucky enough to have Liquid Force's head kite designer, Julian Fillion, here before, speaking about the Liquid Force kites. And what Pat is here to speak about tonight is just to give you a little bit of background on himself and on the world of shaping, be it surfboards or kite surfboards, and then also what makes a good kite surfboard work today in the world of kite surfing. So we're really happy to have him here tonight, and also Jason Slezak, who has been with us on our team from when we started Real, is also here with Pat to speak about the world of kite surfing and kite surfboards. So if you have any questions during the presentation, don't hesitate to ask. Pat's, as you'll find out, one of the most approachable people you'll ever meet.
it's nice to be here. I'm from Hawaii, and we did a kind of a 24-hour deal to get here, so I'm a little, but I wanted to thank Tripp and Matt for inviting me, and this is a place I wanted to visit and stuff. I've been out here a couple of times before through surfing and surfboards, and great company. There's a lot of good things going on. Today, what I wanted to do is try to do kind of set things up around questions, because you may have questions. I mean, my job is I design surfboards, and I'm not a kiteboarder. I have really bad arthritis in the right hip, so I can't kiteboard, but I have good ears, big mouth, and I kind of try to get the ideas out there, and I'm lucky enough to have guys like Jason that are really honest, and I think, we've had a good run. I've had a lot of good guys on the boards, and I like making kiteboards. I think they're one of the most dynamic watercraft you can ride. I mean, when you surf, you're lucky if you can get 20 minutes total standing on your feet, because you're sitting out there for a wave. So the dynamics are a little bit different. When you make a surfboard, you're setting it up where the guy's powering the board himself. There's no added help. There's nothing to hang on to. There's no straps to go into. So we're trying to make surfboards that feel lively, and they go all over the place on the wave, and that's basically what professional surfing is all about, is lively surfboards. The kiting's different. Kiting is handling speed. We found the most things that I've learned really in the last 10 or 12 years is how to make a board that doesn't fall apart. Because the problem is you're standing in the same spot, you're strapped in, you're flying at 25 to 35 knots, maybe faster, and so there's a lot of fatigue in that area. And no surfer goes out and stands on his board for 45 minutes. I mean, I think kiting's the ultimate way to really redline a board's performance as far as strength. So, I'll try to answer as many questions. I've been shaping, like I told Tripp, since 1966, and had a really good, long-lasting career with, professional surfing, and I still do that, but I think that my world needed to get bigger, so I started traveling about 13 years ago, and I've been able to build my business up in 31 countries, which has been kind of exciting, getting out there, meeting people, and the French people are a lot different than the English people, are a lot different than the Brazilian people. It's kind of like this encyclopedia that I had to go read. So, I've learned a lot of things, and I think, back in '98, my son Ryan, he's 25 now, we started making kiteboards on the North Shore. It was very new. The concept was basically like there's a guy named Jeff Timploni, for those of you guys that might know him. He's a Maui guy, but he was the first guy I ever saw that had inserts on the board, kind of a wider nose, pretty narrow, almost looked like a fish, and it was called the Bullet. And I looked at this board, I looked at my son, I go, what do you think? And he goes, because windsurfing was kind of dying out. I don't know if you guys have a windsurfing background, but those of you that do know that by '98, there were still guys, they still had meets and stuff in Europe, but kiting was this new, fresh, look at this, guys going 100 feet in the air, So we spent a lot of time together working on the design first, and then once we made the actual design that worked, we had to figure out how to keep it from just denting all the way through to the bottom. We were just making surfboards. So we found out, some of the windsurfing techniques, using skin, airbagging, all these different technologies. And I worked for Slingshot for a couple of years. We came up with a couple models around my son. One being a directional, which was called a Rawson Pro, and it was Ryan's model. And then I made a twin tip that was kind of neat for the guys that were off the snowboard thing called the Manta. And that was, both of them sold really, really well. And what happened is all of a sudden kiteboarding just went 100% twin tip. It was all wakeboard, kind of pickle fork, kind of totally different. And I went into like a learning phase of how to build these wakeboards. And one of the guys I really looked up to was a guy named Jimmy Lewis, that you guys know about. You see his boards in there. He's one of my heroes. He can build anything. And so I learned a lot through that period. And all of a sudden, Richo Rio came to me. We met a couple times at contests. I was there with my son, Ryan, and I want to get a surfboard, and I want to kite it. And I thought, oh my gosh, here we go, I say that was probably, about 94? Maybe 94, 95, somewhere in that range. No, it's actually 94. And so what we did is we started working around boards that didn't have straps. It was just go surfing, you got your kite. And that's what kind of opened this door for, working with Liquid Force, Jason, Mauricio, Dre, a whole bunch of the guys that are pro riders. And, basically, I think comparing them to surfboards, for those of you guys that surf, you look at the boards out there. The main thing I think with a good kiteboard that's a surfboard directional is you want to have a board that edges well. Surfboards, they'll all work, but I think that there's some that are better than others. And so I have some things in the rockers, generally through the center part of the board, from the front foot to the back foot. This section here, the rocker's a little flatter than I put in a paddle surfboard on all our models. I try to kind of consider like the whole experience. The other thing, I guess, would be just having good functional boards that everybody can ride. That's the hardest thing. I can make these little hot rods that maybe Jason can ride, but the other 9 out of 10 people would have a hard time riding